It's about people, performance, and purpose.
We are urging all nations to recognize the inherent right of the ocean.
Ocean governance concerns every one of us.
Take what you learned today with you. We have the tools, we have the technology.
Let's end the ocean emergency.
Mas nós fazemos parte desse ambiente.
Our life source comes from the ocean, our oxygen, our water, our food.
Welcome to the Ocean Race Summit.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Are we ready for our second part of our program? Yes, okay, fantastic. So hope you enjoyed the refreshments and some good conversations. At the end of the summit, we'd love to hear from you about your experience today. We have a feedback form that we'll be sharing later on with a QR code, and you can fill out the survey. And for everyone who fills out the survey, they will get a complimentary reusable ocean bottle. So we give huge thanks to our friends at Ocean Bottle, a company that has collected nearly 19 million pounds of ocean-bound plastic to date, and we love working with partners focused on cleaning up marine debris. Now, in the second part of this program, we'll be sharing more solutions about ocean health, ideas about circular economies, and why diversity and inclusion are important when we talk about ocean rights. Throughout our summit series, we have also been exploring how we can create more resilient coastlines that are accessible and sustainable at the same time. Also in this part of the program, we'll take a deeper look into all the tangible actions and innovations that are scalable solutions for ocean health. We're delighted to have World Sailing, the governing body for the sport of sailing, with us today. The Ocean Race is a World Sailing special event, and it's the only offshore race to have this distinction. Please help me welcome Alexander Rickham, the head of sustainability at World Sailing, to share some of the work that they're involved with when it comes to the amazing sport of sailing and staying the course for 2030 ocean targets. Please welcome Alexander Rickham.
Anyway, thank you so much for having World Sailing join you at this Ocean Summit. I feel like I'm on a start line because those of you in the audience can't see it, but there's a stop clock right in front of me. So now I'm a 5-minute countdown. But we're super grateful to be a part of this. We're super grateful that that the Ocean Race includes us in these conversations, and we're also really, really proud to have them as one of our special events. So World Sailing, as Danny said, is the international governing body for sailing. And we have 147, I believe, I don't know, my CEO might get me wrong somewhere, but member nation authorities, of which Denmark is one. So outside of the building, you'll have seen a World Sailing flag flying. And as part of what we do is our remit is everything from, working on the racing rules of sailing, through to development at a localized level within the various regions across the planet. Sustainability became really important for World Sailing in around about 2016 when we decided that we were going to create a strategy, and that was ratified unanimously by all of our nations, which is actually quite incredible because that doesn't happen very often. And so our sustainability strategy is known as Agenda 2030. We have 56 deliverables, of which across 6 areas of operation. And that includes everything from our events and how we run them through to technical. So we're looking at things like the impacts of the boats and why and how we select manufacturers and boats for things like the Olympics. And that goes through down to our social objectives, which is more around the development and how do we get more underrepresented groups into sailing. We also try to work really collaboratively, and I think what's really special about the special events is actually how we can work with them to widen our reach. For me personally, I love sailing, I love sport, I love water. Going back to what Danny said, it makes me happy. And we try to make sure that we're widening our impact and working collaboratively with everybody in order to do that. And with the Ocean Race specifically, we've been working quite hard around marine mammals. We're both signatories of the recent Sport for Nature framework, and that's really important for us to work with the likes of the IUCN and the UN around how do we actually help protect those mammals whilst we're racing, because we're talking about the sport of sailing. And we're hoping to work with both the Ocean Race, which we already are, but also with some of our other special events so that we can create guidance around how we operate racing. You know, what are the impacts on our natural environment? How do we protect the marine mammals that are on our race courses? Whether that's offshore or inshore, we have accountabilities as a sport, and so that's a really key deliverable for us. We've also, as I mentioned, we look at how we're selecting our crafts and how we manufacture them. So we've been working alongside the IMOCA class, 11th Hour Racing team. The work that they've been doing around life cycle analysis and the circularity piece is really important in terms of how we use that to trickle down to the smaller classes and utilizing tools like Marine Ship 360. So at the moment, we're trying to deliver a project around how we select our Olympic classes going forward, and that we make sure that they all have to deliver life cycle analysis. And the work that the Ocean Race has done in that space is invaluable in terms of how we enact that at the dinghy level. So we're going from the big boat down to the small boat. And that's really important to us in terms of being able to drive that forward and to accelerate the change that we need. The other big thing on our for us is what's exciting is that a lot of the boats are carrying equipment from Green Boats, which is our most recent 11th Hour Racing Sustainability Award winner. And at the end of last year, we awarded them that award, and it was unanimous actually across our judges, because they're trying to change the face of manufacturing of boats. And that's really important to us, because all of us know that there are boats sat in boat parks taking up space, but we need to know that they have an end of life. The other big thing for us is around education materials that we've worked at. At the moment, our education materials that we've produced alongside 11th Hour Racing and the Ocean Race have been translated into 8 languages. By the end of this year, it will be 10. We're seeing Dutch coming out hopefully this summer, and also Italian hopefully later on in the year. And we've co-branded across a multitude of our member national authorities. So for us, all of these things are what are going to collaboratively drive change within our sport and make the difference to us, both as the global, make us really the global leader in sustainability in sport. So I'd like you all to, reach out to us or come up with opportunities that you think that we can further that collaboration. And thank you so much for having us be a part of your summit. Thanks, Anya.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. It's great to see you. And also, of course, representing the islands, Jamaica, right on stage. We also have one of my friends, Crystal Ambrose. She's here representing the Bahamas. Yes. PhD candidate. Yeah, sure. And yeah, it's really important. We know that representation is extremely important in the sport of sailing, but any sport in general. And when it comes to sustainability, we must have all voices in the room and at the table to be able to come up with the best solutions. The ocean can replenish itself and regenerate if given the chance, especially if you give it a helping hand through things like biohuts that enable nursery areas. And it's a wonderful local solution. And speaking of local solutions and innovation, the rising generation of right now know the power of collective action, both locally and globally. Around the world, today's youth are contributing to policy change, they're making waves and shifting mindsets when it comes to climate action and caring about our blue planet. In fact, I had a chance on Tuesday this week to be in this very same room to help host the first day of the Ocean Youth Summit Aarhus, to speak to youth who came from all over the world, from places like Brazil, Cape Verde, France, the Netherlands, Nigeria, and so many more. Their innovative ideas and insightful and inspiring focus on the future is what keeps me going personally as an ocean advocate. So, recognizing ocean rights is a part of the solution, but here to discuss the path from innovation to action are these incredible youth leaders who are leading the way to a healthier planet. Please give a warm welcome to our following panelists. First up, I'd like to call Pepper Luke Stephenson. She is from Unleash Greenland and co-founder of the Arctic Food Cooperative Project. Hi, Pepper Luke. Welcome. You can have a seat here. Excellent. Next, I'd like to introduce Esther Mogensen, I'm going to get it right. The co-creator of the Ocean Youth Summit Aarhus. Welcome back, Esther. Next, Jacqueline Pereira. She is a RISE Global winner and inventor and founder of CycloCloud. Please welcome Jacqueline. I love your blazer. Okay. And last but not least, Willow Campbell, the co-founder of Ripples of Change, Rhode Island. Please join us on stage, Willow. Hi. Excellent. Now, Willow also has fellow co-founders who are here in the audience today, and I'd love for her teammates to stand up so we can acknowledge you. Sula Prentice-Garg and Ani Chippel. Hi, ladies. Hi. Thank you for being here. And your fourth co-founding member wasn't with us here today, but she's back in the US, but definitely want to acknowledge her, Noelle Bastien, as well. So thank you for being here with us. Yes. Excellent. Well, good to see you all. How are we doing? And how are you feeling? Don't be nervous. We're just going to have a good conversation, and I would love for the audience to get to know each of you. So let's first off just start off talking about your projects. Let's get a 1-minute summary of what your project's all about, and Pepper Luke, you can start off.
Yeah, last year in Greenland there was a project called Analysed Lab that happened in Nuuk, the capital of Greenland, and I was very fortunate to be selected to be part of it. And my group, we were one of the lucky who made it to the top 3 of with the most innovative idea. And our idea, the main focus of our idea is to combat loneliness. Because in Greenland we do experience a lot of loneliness because a lot of students have to move away from home to go to school and have an education, and with that follows a lot of loneliness because you leave your family and friends and all, and which is why we wanted to combat that by having these hyggeaftener in Danish. And since hygge is now part of the dictionary, and it just means like having fun together or having a nice evening together with new people and new friends. And to have these hyggeaftener, we would like to have these weekly events of where you learn to cook, or maybe you learn to, I'm from Greenland, so learn to hunt, and learn to fish, and of course sustainably, where you learn how to use the whole catch of a fish, or it may be a seal, like where we teach them how to use the skin and the bones and everything to make it sustainable. And we're still working on it, and so far so good.
Fantastic. Thank you, Pepper Luke. Willow, we'll move on to you. I won't go down the line, we'll pop around, but Willow, tell us about your project.
Well, we are 4 teens from the US, the small state, Rhode Island, also known as the Ocean State. And we've grown up by the ocean, and we're just devastated to see one of our closest friends hurting. And we've spent our lives reducing, reusing, and recycling, and we wanted to make a lasting impact that we saw the next best move would be to reform. We need to change our laws to get plastics off of our beaches and out of our oceans, and we saw the best way to do that was through the bottle bill. And our local lawmakers already had a proposed law called the RI Bottle Bill. Yeah, a reposit program. It would increase the quality and quantity of our plastic recycles, and it would also contain nip bottles, which are small alcohol containers that are currently not recycled in Rhode Island and are one of the main polluters in our ocean. Perfect.
Jacqueline, can you tell us about your project?
Yeah, so I invented a material that I call CycloCloud, which essentially upcycles fish scale waste into a material that can absorb and remove heavy metals from water. And essentially what I found is that, so I'm from the US, and it turns out that the EPA actually has 0 federal standards when it comes to the amount of heavy metals that can be left over in wastewater effluent post-treatment. And even in my hometown where I'm from, the only mention of heavy metals in our water quality standards simply states that effluent post-treatment can be used for irrigation of farmland, since I'm from a rural area, unless it's been contaminated by heavy metals. So what do we do if it's contaminated with heavy metals? There's no mention of it at all. And I thought that this was a concerning gap in our water quality legislation, because these heavy metals, even at small doses, over time can build up in our environment because they never break down. Not to mention, bioaccumulation, biomagnification in the food chain means that those heavy metals will come back to directly affect us from the food that we eat, and we source it from the ocean and from our rivers. And I found actually that fish scale waste, which is something that currently has zero economic importance, is actually already primed to absorb heavy metals. The fish scales that we most commonly source from the fish that we harvest, bony fish that we're familiar with, from tuna, cod, salmon, tilapia. Those fish scales actually have a two-layer structure, an outer calcified layer filled with calcium salts, and an inner fibrous layer of primarily collagen, which is a matrix protein. And both collagen and calcium salts are primed to absorb heavy metals. Collagen's individual peptide building blocks can form complexes with heavy metal ions, while the crystal structure in calcium salts can have ion substitutions form between the positively charged calcium ions and positively charged heavy metal ions in solution as well. And I found that my invention, CycloCloud, at a cost of 23 cents a kilogram, can remove heavy metals up to, and that can actually take heavy metal contaminated water, heavily contaminated at 77 ppm, 1,000 liters of that water, and bring it down to EPA drinking water standards for heavy metals.
Wow. That is phenomenal, Jacqueline, and you went full-on science mode on us just now. So we're gonna have to go back and talk about the details, but we'll get to that. Thank you very much. All right, and Esta, would you please explain more about the Ocean Youth Summit Aarhus and what you were doing this week, or what you're still doing? The summit is still happening.
So the Ocean Youth Summit is a 4-day summit that's going on right now, where young people from all over the world is participating in different tracks to learn how to connect to the ocean and how to make solutions that will help the solution be better in the future. So right now, all the participators, attendees, are on tracks on the themes of urban planning, creativity, food of the future, mindfulness and health, and innovation and startups, and biodiversity. To explore these themes and learn how they can incorporate the ocean rights, and sustainable thinking under these themes in the future. So hopefully we're aiming to inspire young people to do better and go back home and make a difference on the ocean and its rights. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So yeah.
And how many participants do you have this week?
Around 100.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And building community, an international community.
Yeah, big time.
And hopefully friendships that'll last a lifetime as well. Now, there are many different roles when it comes to organizing projects. Yes, please give it up for Esta. I know that all of you have worked very hard on all of your prospective projects, but it's more than just one person working on it. You have different people on your teams. So I'd love to talk about what it takes and your perspective on collaboration. So tell me about the roles of your teammates and what inspired the original idea. So we'll go back, let's jump back to Jacqueline, and you can start there.
Yeah, so how I got started, getting to CycloCloud is essentially a culmination of a lot of different experiences and probably decisions that at the time didn't seem really life-changing, but looking back probably really did change my life. So essentially, my second grade teacher is kind of the first one to get me excited about science. Like, okay, I want to do more. And so when my school started their first science Olympiad team when I was in 3rd grade, I joined them. And I actually ended up doing it for all the way until my senior year of high school, so for a total of 10 years. In 5th grade, so I was like 9 years old, turning 10. I was reading an oceanography textbook. It's called Oceanography 12th edition by Tom Garrison, and And I read that and I was like, wow, the ocean's amazing. But at the same time, there are sections that talked about the plastic problem and the pollution that's happening, the loss of biodiversity, and I was like, why are we doing this? Like, what's happening? Because the oceans are beautiful, and something needs to be done. And I mean, of course, at the time, I was only 9 years old, and maybe not felt fully aware of all the circumstances in the world. But that drive, why like something is wrong and we need to do something about this, ended up filtering into research projects I conducted on my own. I did for a while actually, I did developments upcycling waste into various bioplastics, alternative materials to plastics, from like lignocellulosic fibers. I sourced from things like paper waste, old clothing, cotton t-shirts, corn husks, and other biomass that I found in my everyday life. Also crustacean shells, like from crabs, shrimp, shellfish, and also fish scales actually, which is how I came to know fish scales not only were a waste that are potentially an untapped resource, but also have these unique properties that could be applied to solving environmental issues. So, yeah, it's been a long journey.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jacqueline. And Willow, what about you? You have your teammates here, some of your teammates here with you. How do you work together, and what does collaboration mean to you?
Well, I forgot to mention earlier, so I'll give you a little more context. We took the Ocean Race's learning program for teens, Generation Ocean, and we learned about ocean rights, and we were challenged to bring ocean rights into our community. And we did that by making a video and starting a social media campaign to educate our community and our lawmakers on the importance of ocean rights and the bottle bill. So we worked all together to write the script, and everything you hear is us speaking as one voice through the ocean. And
beautiful.
I'd like to thank them because they're so amazing.
Cool. And then, thank you very much, Willow. Pepperluke and Esther, we can talk just briefly on your teams and how it works and how you keep your organization going together.
Well, we first met last year in August in Greenland, and we were put in a group, how do you call it, like randomly? Like we didn't know each other, but we had this great chemistry, and I've made new friends, which I'm happy to say. And it's been great, and we still keep in touch, and I've been developing the program, the idea a little further with their great input, and we have group chats and more of that where we discuss if I get stuck on some point, then I will ask them and they will give me insights or some points to how to make it work. But it's still a working process, so we'll get there someday.
Excellent, thank you. And Esther, what about you? You have a whole team of creators that have put together the Ocean Youth Summit.
Yeah, so we are all the creators are volunteers who've been working on this for almost half a year. So people are doing it out of all kind of different interests and backgrounds, but basically we have been together in these small teams working on these themes, trying to put together a cool program for all the attendees. So people are biologists, experienced designers, marketing people, like all kind of different young people trying to put together this summit. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. So tell us about the next steps in the project. So you've talked about how it started, but where are you planning to go? And I'll take it back to you, Esther. Like, what are your hopes coming up for the Youth Summit? Do you want to take it elsewhere? Do you want to keep it here in Aarhus? What's the plan?
Well, it would be awesome if there could be a youth summit every time the ocean race goes somewhere, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it wouldn't be, it could also be here in Aarhus for sure. I mean, I think there's maybe lacking a focus of sustainability and the youth and how to actually take the young voice seriously, for example, in politics and legislation. So I think it might be a good place to start, and I hope that a summit like that could live on different places, yeah.
Fantastic. And Willow, what about you? Where are you hoping to go next?
Well, when we get back home, we plan to try to set up meetings with each of our representatives throughout Rhode Island and talk to them one-on-one about bringing ocean rights into the conversation every time they make a decision to consider the ocean's needs, and to have them support the bottle bill as a first step. And once we get that passed, I think we plan to find more laws and more ways we can help support the ocean.
Love that. Jacqueline, what's next for CycloCloud, and what do you want to do with the project?
Well, so I just finished my first year of undergraduate studies at MIT, and so it's been a little difficult managing progress on CycloCloud since I started senior year of high school with the change. I actually also got involved with a new research project relating to making cement greener in order to reduce the carbon emissions related with cement production. But my plan is I've been networking through my lab group, and I'd also would like to get connected with more of you here as well. And I'm hoping to soon, I'd like to expand on the research I've already done, get a better sense of the processes behind how CycloCloud works, the absorption process, and how to potentially maximize it. And I guess also start talking through potential logistics, what would it take for CycloCloud to be implemented as a potential real-world solution. So yeah.
Love it, love it. Thank you. And Pepper Luke, where do you want to take your project? What's next?
Well, as I've said several times, it's an ongoing process right now. So, but I do imagine it like, I would love to start it in South Greenland, and then hopefully make it enough of a success that it somehow spreads through all of Greenland, because it is this combat of loneliness. It doesn't happen in just one place. It happens everywhere. Everyone knows that feeling of loneliness and needing someone by your side. So I believe that this project, this idea, could someday be a whole global thing. Well, at least I hope. But yeah,
absolutely.
I would love to see it all over the world.
Fantastic. Now, we're sitting on a youth panel, or like dubbed as a youth panel, and I know that coming into certain spaces, youth are sometimes marginalized in ways and held in this light where it's like, oh, youth will save the planet, they're gonna save us. And I feel like that's a lot of pressure, but I'm curious to hear how you all feel about that when that topic kind of comes up, and how are you taking a stance as a leader in this world and in this space, the ocean space. What do you want the elders to know about your role in this movement? And who would love to start? Let's start with Esta.
I'm a bit provoked when people say that it's on the youth to save the planet, because I think it's a responsibility for everyone who's alive right now. And and of course, maybe the youth is more, prepared to make changes, or a bit more aware of how it's gonna impact us and our children, but we can't do it alone, and we need the people in power to do something, and that's not the youth, that's the grown-ups who need to do something. So yeah, well, the youth is the future, of course, but it's happening now and not in the future, so it's on everybody and not just us. Yeah.
Exactly. Willow, what do you think about that?
Well, me and my teammates have talked about this before, and we all agree that it makes us angry, because it feels like the people in charge and who have power are just dumping a mess into our laps and hoping we'll fix it, which feels a bit lazy, honestly. And we think that youth will continue to grow and change this world, hopefully for the better, but right now we need the people with the power to hear us and start making changes.
Yes. Jacqueline, Papa Luke, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, I guess I'd like to consider it a little bit more optimistically. Of course, the people in power do need to take some action. But I'd also say it's also a testament, I think, to how much progress we've managed to make so far. Today's youth and all of us here we only can be here because of the work of those that came before us. So I'm grateful to be fortunate enough to have grown up in an environment where I was able to access this information and learn more, so that way I could start taking action pretty early on. Also, thank you to Rise for being the one to bring me here, actually. Shout out to all my fellow Rise winners over there too in the audience.
Rise winners in the house. Hello, wave your hands. Where are you at?
Yeah.
Hi.
But of course that comes with the flip side. As great as it is that we have made the progress we have, it also means that it is critical we keep this momentum going for the future. If we want to see the future that we really want, then we have to work hard for it.
Amen. Yes. Thank you, Jacqueline. And Pippa Luke, what about you? What's your sentiment about folks saying youth are responsible for the future?
I would like to answer that with a question, saying, why just the youth? Why not all of us? Like, the focus should be on all of us. Like, we can all make a change. Like, earlier this week, we learned that one person going out picking trash in the ocean, yes, that makes an impact, but not a whole lot. So if we all did do one thing together, then we could make a much bigger, much broader, and much better ocean and world and nature and all that. So my question for that is, why can't we all contribute to that?
Absolutely. Why can't we all? Now, we just have a few minutes left in our panel, and our final question is regarding ocean rights. And I just would love to hear about how your projects are potentially contributing to this idea of ocean rights, and do you think that it's a viable solution for the future? And I'm going to go back around. Esther, would you start, Rudy?
Well, I believe that people tend to care more about a certain topic, in this case ocean rights, if they are enlightened and maybe have a connection to the ocean. And the Youth Summit is a way of giving that to the young people who are attending. So hopefully, when they learn more about the ocean and they think about solutions for it, they are maybe also more motivated and in for making the ocean rights, which I believe is the right solution. So through the Youth Summit, hopefully raising this awareness and putting it in the minds of people, like having it with you all the time. So, yeah.
Awesome. Pepper Luke, what about you? Should we pursue ocean rights?
Definitely. Coming from Greenland, in our culture, ocean is life. Like, ocean, it provides food, ocean provides energy, ocean provides serenity, ocean provides the calm in our lives. So it should definitely have ocean rights. We just have to be certain that those who maintain the rights, those who make sure the rights are kept, are also held accountable. Also make sure that we keep these rights, that we are ensured that they'll stay there forever, hopefully, and making sure that the oceans have rights just like any one of us in here.
Yes. Thank you, Pepper Luke. And Willow, you've already done extensive work within, the idea of ocean rights. What do you think are the next steps forward to push forward the concept?
Well, a wise person once said that the ocean has rights, it's always had rights, and it always will have rights. And I think it's time for humans to honor them. And whenever we talk about anything, make a decision, choose to have action, we need to remember that we're not the only ones that we affect. And it's time for people to hear the ocean.
It's time for people to hear the ocean. I love that. And Jacqueline, round us out. What are your thoughts on ocean rights?
Well, I think ocean rights, with my project and everyone else's projects here, they're all essentially, it's a proof of concept that the ocean is something that, is definitely not something just to be exploited, but something to be worked with. We can learn from the ocean, from nature, to solve current issues. We can work with it and how it functions, from maybe integrating circular economies to learning to source more sustainably from resources that utilize resources in a way that are more in line with how the ocean naturally works. And that's why I think the ocean deserves just as much protection as anyone else, because we should cherish it just like we would anyone else.
Fantastic. Wow, thank you so much for using your voices today. And in case anyone in the audience wants to support your projects, can you just quickly just say your website or social media handle? Do you have one yet? Not yet? Okay, well that's okay. Well then talk to Pepper Luke afterward. Esther, do you have the website or the social media handle?
We have a website called the Ocean Youth Summit, but I think otherwise just spread the word, make everybody wants a youth summit again, I think. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yes, Jacqueline.
Social media, I guess I check Instagram most often. My Instagram handle is just Jacqueline Prowera, all lowercase, no space. Or alternatively, my email is jprowera@mit.edu.
Fantastic, thank you.
Well, our handle is Ripples of Change RI.
Ripples of Change RI.
Ripples of Change RI. We're on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And I guess just talk to your representatives, talk to the people in charge, and let's get some things done.
Let's get some things done, yes. Please, another round of applause for our panelists. Thank you all so much. So it's always amazing to see the leadership and impact of our youth, and another opportunity to protect ocean rights is through the fashion industry. And a major change needs to be put in place, right, in order to design better products and safeguard the ocean in the way that we need. So I'm happy to welcome our final panel of the day of experts who will discuss on how the fashion industry, which happens to be one of the most polluting sectors of business, can turn things around and become part of the solution. We also highlight the need for global brands to tackle marine plastic pollution and showcase clarity and circularity in their industry. Now we have some key industry leaders who are here from Bestseller and Helly Hansen, and they'll be joining us today for our last panel. I'm happy to say that my outfit that I'm wearing right now, this gorgeous orange dress, was provided by Selected, which happens to be one of Bestseller's fashion labels. So thank you again to Bestseller for providing me the chance to wear this gorgeous dress and responsibly made fashion. So help me welcome to the stage. All right, here we go. Camilla Skirning Johansen. She is the Materials and Innovations Manager at Bestseller, where she's been working and leading the charge for the last 18 years. Welcome, Camilla.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please feel free to have a seat here. And then next, I'd like to welcome Ovin Vilvik. He is from Helly Hansen Sailing Category, and he's the Managing Director of the Sailing Category. So please welcome Ovin. Ovin, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Hi, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Awesome. Okay, so here we are with our final panel for the day. Let's talk fashion. So I'd love to begin with you, Camilla. Can you tell us a little bit about Bestseller? Some folks in the room may not be aware of the brand, and tell us about the history.
Yeah, Bestseller is actually located only 15 minutes walk from here, one of our headquarters. We actually have one headquarters located in Brande in the middle of Denmark, and then we have one here in Aarhus and one in Copenhagen. We're also in Stilling. Bestseller is a family-owned company. It was founded in 1975, so a young company of almost 50 years. We have more than 20 brands. Hopefully you know, Vermoda, Jack & Jones, Selected, name it objects, but there's 20 more, or some more. I forgot counting how many I mentioned. We do apparel and accessories for all genders and all ages. Not so much sport, well, we do have some sport. Our key value is high quality at a competitive price. I am lucky to have 18,000 colleagues across the world, and we sell actually in 70 markets. So that's Bestseller.
Fantastic. And Selected, I don't know, I didn't get a chance to read deeply into the material here, but I know it's like a viscous type
Yeah,
material.
you are wearing Ecovero, which is from a company called Lenzing. They're based out of Austria. And Ecovero is actually made out of FSC certified wood, and it's a EU flour label process that they operate in, which for viscose, which requires some chemicals to produce. It's a man-made fiber called man-made cellulosics when we make viscose. So I'm also getting a little bit nerdy here, sorry for that.
No, I love it, we love it when you're nerdy.
But it can be a problematic process. Also the wood, of course, can come from a problematic source. So it's very important that you know the wood source and you know the process that it's in, and that it is in a process that you can say where the chemicals used are in a closed loop, and so it doesn't, as little harm as possible. We know that with Ecovero, which we also have a score on and data behind.
Absolutely.
So you can wear it with a good conscience.
Yes, I feel good wearing it. It's lovely. And are there any new innovations, Camilla, that you're particularly excited about within bestseller, but maybe the fashion industry as a whole?
Oh, I don't think we have enough time for all of those that I am very excited about right now. But I'm very excited about the portfolio of new solutions that we see coming to market. But of course, within the fashion industry, our biggest problem is polyester, which is linked to fossil fuel, and it's cotton, which is linked to agricultural waste. The second or the third one is man-made cellulosics that are linked to agricultural forest industry. So of course we are looking very much at innovation within these areas, and within polyester we see a lot of textile to textile recycling coming up, so we can take used textile waste and produce a new polymer out of that and produce polyester again, and that is very important. What is very good with polyester is that we see that it is possible to both recycle polyester into other industries also, where we get back to the monomer stage, meaning that we open up for a new flow of chemicals going back into industries that are decoupled from fossil fuel. And that's very important also for the economy, because then we begin to see economy at scale. So that's very exciting to see. And then we are very excited to see that a lot of the cotton that we produce can be turned into a man-made cellulosic. So the company that produced Ecovero is also very much working on using textile waste as the feedstock going forward, combined with either wood or decoupled from wood entirely. So those are the ones that we are very excited about that can replace some of our majority fibers.
That's fantastic. Wow. So many options and lots of opportunity for the future. Yeah, fantastic. Now, Øyvind, welcome. Thank you for being here. Helly Hansen, you're our official, apparel partner, and you created the Ocean Race uniforms, which are beautiful. A lot of the gear, you have a history of resilient sailing wear, that you're out on the ocean, you need it to be durable. What's the mission when it comes to producing clothes like this for sailors?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us here. Yeah, here we actually have the uniform as well, which is what I'm here to talk about. Now, Helly Hansen is a very old company. It started all in 1877 with actually a sea captain wanting to make waterproof clothing for his crew to not feel miserable and wet. And this is still our mission. We make professional grade gear to help people stay alive and feel alive. And in that, it's a lot of functionality, but it's also a lot of longevity. So when you look at how the uniform of the Ocean Race employees and how all of this is made now, is also made for longevity. So you see there's no years, there's no additions, there's no sponsors on there. And hopefully we can see this uniform being used multiple times. Also, we have worked very closely with the Ocean Race and selected the best accessible materials and the best accessible and functional designs that we could do at the time. Now this was made in 18 and 19, so this is designed some years ago. And I'm very happy to say that, we have seen a lot of development since then. So first off, the jacket. This is a waterproof, breathable Helitech. It's made from recycled nylon. If we made it again today, we can actually make it from recycled fishing nets. But at this stage, it was only accessible to make it from regular industrial recycled nylon. Still it's good, but it's one step, and we have so many more to go. The polo shirts that you see a lot wearing, I have one myself. If you open the jacket a little bit, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So we heard Camilla talk about all these recycling options, and moving into recycling sources is very important. When we started with the Ocean Race, we got also the attention to the ocean. And one of the options that surfaced was the concept of ocean-bound recycled material. That means that it's plastic on its way into the ocean, but you stop it, and then you get it back into the industrial stream. So ocean-bound is plastic collected within 50 kilometers of the ocean in areas lacking a proper recycling system. So in the Ocean Race uniforms, these are made from plastic waste and bottles collected out of 2 locations out of Indonesia. And yeah, so that was really a few of the things that we got into. And I can talk for hours about the rest of the uniform, about the little communication that it sits on every piece. And the gear for the fans is made with the same technology. So if you visit our store, you can look at a lot more products, and you can talk to the staff there to get more info.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you to our model Athísclos. Thank you for coming up and showing the uniform. Now, you briefly touched on this, Øyvind, already, but how has the partnership with the Ocean Race influenced your journey on making better products for people and the planet beyond just the uniforms here at the Ocean Race?
Well, I think that is something which is the happy place here, or the best thing that happened, because when we started designing the uniforms, we didn't have anything made out of ocean-bound plastics, and the discussions we had back then, we had a wish and we had a push, and we didn't know the cost of it. We didn't really know what fabrics we were able to make, but we said, like, every product, let's try. And today, every time we design a new sailing jacket, the first question is, can we use an ocean-bound component in here? Can we do this in a better way? So most of the collection now, most of the designs are actually made using this kind of recycled technology. So the Ocean Race, you inspired us, you pushed us, and you have done a big impact of our collection. So thank you for that.
Yes, it's wonderful. Now, I know that there are a plethora of challenges in the fashion industry when you have to overcome and design challenges, but what are some of the main ones that you're currently facing right now as a company? Camilla, like you mentioned a little bit before, but what are some of the most pressing issues for you in your business at this point to overcome?
Mainly, we are too busy lowering our impact because we have a pressing challenge ahead of us, and we don't have time to wait, especially for new innovation, to scale up to the scale that we need as a big company, fast enough to lower our emission. And that can only happen if we collectively work together and help each other bring those companies up to scale that we need. And that requires financial support, because a startup in the beginning can't compete with a very old established company. So really it requires that there are companies willing to provide that financial support, and those companies, in order to do that, you have to be a well and thriving company that has that, you can say, surplus to do that and that willingness to do that. But I would say the main challenge today that we face is that it is most favorable to do the wrong thing in the world that we live in, meaning that it is cheapest to buy something that is not sustainable. And that is wrong, and that's where we need policies and legislators to come in and help make it an even playing field. because this is not a niche thing we are trying to solve. It's not a niche collection. It's not one product. It's everything that we do. It has to cut a cost. And that's the main challenge that we face. And that's where the collective effort also needs to happen. And I would like to applaud the young people who were up here on stage before, because first of all, it takes courage to go on a stage. So really courageous young people to come up here. But also, two things they really are doing right is that they are talking policies and they're talking innovation. So they are inventing new things, but they're also influencing policy. And that's what we need to happen for the change to go forward.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Camilla. Yes. And Øyvind, what about you? What are the current challenges at Helly Hansen that you're working to tackle?
I think I can echo that. I can echo we need innovation. You know, the whole textile industry now is not set up in a good way. And there's a lot of stuff we need to change. And we need to verify that the innovations actually are working. And again, you know, we are using the Ocean Race to guarantee that this stuff actually works, that we have the functionality and we have the longevity. Because when we make a better solution using less resources, we need to use it also for a longer time. If not, we're not able to lessen the impact. And the other side of it is the policies. And we need policies. We need international policies to help advocate change. Because unfortunately, you know, it's so easy to buy something which is cheap and then you throw it away after a short time. And, you know, for us, trying to change this and trying to make stuff last longer and have less impact, if there's a cheaper, more available alternative in there, we always face that competition. And that's a competition we don't want to lose. So we need the policies and we need the innovations.
Thank you, Øyvind. Yes. So we've spoken about ocean rights throughout the entire summit, which you've heard already, but I'm curious to hear your take on the recognition of ocean rights and how can your industry help recognize ocean rights as well? Camilla, beginning with you.
Yeah, again, it's back to, I always say that imagine a world where we had no rules for driving. No rules for driving in the same direction, no rules for speed. That would look like a mess, right? And that's a little bit the situation that we have within the sustainability space. We need rules for driving, so we don't drive in all sorts of direction and go at different speeds. And that's the same with ocean rights. We need to recognize the problems that we have, but we need to make it into a law in order for everybody to follow it, so we know what direction we go in. And that's when I hear the ocean rights. I hear direction, and the same direction for all, so we are not confused about what it is that we need to do. And I think that's very important that those scientists who have the answers influence the lawmakers, so we get a direction to what it is that we need to do. Because I think a lot of people want to do the right thing, but are very much in doubt about what the right thing is. And that's where something like this can go in and help.
Indeed, it can. Yes, we need the framework, we need the guidelines to help us get there as a global community, which is the challenge in itself, right? But we can get there.
But guideline is just a nice word. I've used that a lot. But I think we're done with guidelines. I think we need to move past that, because I think we have seen that guidelines are nice to have, but if not followed by all, we don't create the change. And again, this is not a niche problem that we have, it's a massive problem. So we really need massive solutions, not guidelines.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you, Camilla. And Øyvind, what about you? Your take on ocean rights?
Yeah, I think the concept for us is very close to where we operate as well. You know, we're a skiing brand, we're a sailing brand, we're on water all the time. And actually, water, when we started to think about sustainability, you know, around 18 years ago when I started in the company, water was one of the first things that surfaced, because we were on water all the time. And we were like, okay, what can we do? So there's a lot of stuff from, you know, how do you dye without using a lot of water? You know, can you do waterless dyeing? We put different ways of putting the color in very early in the process, doing something called solution dye. And also, we're very aware about the textile industry. We're responsible for a lot of the microplastics that goes into the ocean. How do we measure that? And how do we reduce that? And how do we find the solutions around it? So for us, water was kind of one of the first aspects that we were looking at. And I think the concept of the ocean rights and to get legislation protecting the ocean is also something that the world is needing.
Yes, absolutely. It really is. And I think the interesting thing about fashion and the industry, the textiles industry, I mean, what we wear every day is a message to the world. It's a message to those who see us. Before we even open our mouths, someone kind of gets a feeling of who you are before you even speak. And so by sending a message through sustainable fashion, through innovative fashion, I think we're going to move in a really good direction with your leadership. So thank you both for coming up here today and sharing your voice and sharing your insights. And hopefully we'll have lots of conversations afterward. I'm sure there'll be lots of questions. So thank you very much once again. A round of applause for Camila and Øyvind. Thank you. And of course, thank you again to our model, Atislo, for coming up here in uniform for us. Excellent. So we've heard a lot of information today. Thank you all for hanging in there. I know it's been a few hours, but we appreciate your attention. And I'd love to hear from you. This is my last request on a roaming mic in the audience, but I would love to hear from someone to just say what piece of today really resonated with you. What stuck with you? What did you receive that you didn't have before? Just as a reflection. Do we have somebody who wants to just say a quick thing? Perfect.
Thank you, first of all, to everyone who's here and who's contributed to this discussion. I'm Rose. I'm here with 11th Hour Racing, the Young Professional Mentorship Program. And I've been here for the Ocean Youth Summit, which has also been incredible. As a young person, so to say, it's incredibly inspiring and, to be honest, a little overwhelming to be with so many people that are so nerdy in their area of expertise, but so incredibly brilliant at what they do. I think what strikes me most, and I hope I speak on behalf of a generation, is how do we engage all the people who have not directly committed their professional lives to ocean restoration? We now have the understanding, we have the science, we have the tools and the innovation and the ideas. What we also have right now is an incredible network stemming from this room, but the rest of the species is outside. And surely what is left is the connection. It's what's happening during this race and during this event as a whole. And I think it's what makes it so exciting. And it starts with connecting people to themselves and to each other. And then, of course, ultimately connecting people to the ocean. And protecting the ocean is an intrinsically human challenge, and it comes from within us. That's the only way it's going to work. I think we need to engage the human connection to the ocean because our humanity is the only thing that each and every one of us has in common. Thank you.
Beautifully said. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that summary. Thank you. Excellent. So now it's my honor to introduce to the stage an incredible ocean champion who is a former member of the European Parliament, chair of the German Committee for the United Nations Ocean Decade, and on the board of the EU mission Healthy Oceans Starfish 2030. Please welcome Gesine Meissner. Welcome to the stage. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Danny, and thank you for this conclusion remarks from your side. It is almost everything done, already everything said, so to say. But of course, I have the honor and the pleasure to do a conclusion as well, and it's really great to be here. It's fantastic to be on this Ocean Race Summit, and because it's all an excellent example for cooperation, for joint forces, all towards a better world, a better future for our ocean, and so on. And we have heard speakers from several different sectors, and that's all together what the solutions we have heard about. It's great if they come true. It's really brilliant for the ocean. Well, we all know the big problems we have right now. It's climate change, loss of biodiversity, and growing needs for a growing population on this blue planet. And we all know a healthy ocean can be the solution, or better said, a healthy ocean is a precondition for all solutions. There will be no Green Deal without a Blue Deal. That's what I always like to underline, because so often I read articles in Germany about the Green Deal and nothing about ocean, nothing about water. That doesn't work at all. So, what we have heard from the speakers today, politics, science, sports, economy, fashion, and our youth, fits perfectly into the two global initiatives I stand here today, I represent today. It's the Ocean Decade and it's the EU mission Starfish 2030. And both initiatives aim to create a change in the marine sector until 2030. This is the first slide, yes. The Ocean Decade for a sustainable development in ocean science, it's really something that has a vision. The vision is the science we need for the ocean we want. But I myself, I like still better the other vision that's not written here, but it's in this initiative as well. It's the ocean we need for the future we want. I think if we think about our future, it cannot be, it's not thinkable without an ocean, a healthy and vivid ocean. And so that's why we have to fight really for this. It's a transformative ocean science solution for a sustainable development, connecting people and our ocean, and that's very important as well. That's what we did today, that's what we are all doing, and that's what we will be doing in future as well. And people, that means everybody, inside this room and outside, as you just mentioned. It means politics, it means science, it means stakeholders of all kinds, all business people and so on, and of course the society as well, NGOs and youth and whatever we have. The mission points out that solutions can only be done together, and that is something, a message that should be spread from here all over the world. And we have several aims described how the ocean should look like by 2030. For example, it should be clean, I think we all agree. Clean, it means free from pollution, including from noise as far as possible. It's not really completely possible, we know that, and we would like to hear only the whale songs, but that is maybe a little bit futuristic. The ocean shall be as well healthy and resilient, with well-managed marine ecosystems. Would be great to have that. Productive as must be, with food from the ocean, with marine energy that helps us to have an energy change, and a sustainable blue economy. It shall be predictive. That means everybody should understand the ocean conditions and be able to respond to changes. It shall be safe. All life and livelihoods should be protected from ocean-related hazards. That's what we all want, and we want to influence that. It shall be accessible. That means with open access to data and information about research, technology, and innovation, like digital twins of the ocean, what we have right now. I dream of maybe a platform where the scientists give the newest results of their research in a platform and everybody can have access to it and respond to it. It would be perfect. And in order to achieve these goals, there were several national committees in, for example, Denmark and Germany, and several regional groups like in Africa and the Western Pacific. And the Ocean Race actually is part of the UN Ocean Decade as well. And it's a big step forward if you sail around the world and tell about the needs of the ocean and what should be done by everybody. And I think what is very important as well, it's already mentioned by Team Alicia, for example, ocean literacy shall be hand in hand with the Ocean Race. That's what you're doing as well in the Ocean Race. We have to inform everybody, not only the society, but schools and kindergartens. They all should be actually part of the whole development. And if we achieve that, we can really have big results. The next slide, please. On EU level, the thoughts had been about the same. We know that we have several aims we want to achieve until 2030, the 30-30 aims, so to say. And on EU level, it's the creation of the result of our thoughts was Mission Starfish 2030, officially named Restore Our Ocean and Waters. But we, as members of the mission board, we like much better the title Starfish 2030, because we have the starfish as a symbol. Several reasons are for that. A starfish is known for everybody. A starfish can create it can create emotions. And I think there is no motivation without any emotion. So having a starfish is great. It can as well be a good symbol for storytelling. And it has 5 arms for 5 important challenges we defined. One is, I start on the right side, regenerating marine and freshwater ecosystems and create as well blue parks and marine protected areas, MPAs. We have not enough of them. Second is decarbonizing our oceans and seas and waters, including green shipping, blue energy, and more mangroves and seaweeds. I think we all know a mangrove can bind 2.5 as much CO2 as a tree, and a seaweed is 20 times more efficient than woods or wetlands. I'm a farmer's daughter, I like woods and wetlands, but I think to forget about seaweeds and mangroves is a big mistake. Third part is revamping governance. It should be a better cooperation from politicians everywhere on national level, internationally, and globally. And if that really happens, we would have a big step forwards. The first thing is zero pollution. That means less litter, chemicals, munition, and noise. Munition I mentioned as well because the Baltic Sea has a big problem with a lot of munition in it. And the last thing is filling the knowledge and emotional gap. And this is for me very crucial. We need more data. That's what we talked about a lot several times today. And we need, of course, we need the people. We need to raise awareness, to inform people about the ocean, not only the beauty of the ocean, but as well the need of the ocean. Here I can say something for the ocean rights again. It was said already by our Danish colleague, the oceans are taken for granted. The oceans are there and nobody cares about it, nobody thinks about it, and especially if it comes to politics. I'm a former politician, and I quite often said, because I'm an ambassador for the ocean for a long time, I always said the ocean has no voters, and the ocean is not a constituency. That's why it's so often forgotten if it comes to lawmaking. If we would have had ocean rights, it could not happen anymore. Then the ocean would be in the middle of thinking and in the middle of important topics. And that's what we all want to achieve. And now, again, the starfish. There is a story what we always like to tell in our mission board. The story says, after a big storm, the beach was filled by starfishes. And a little girl comes along and takes one starfish after the other and bringing it back carefully to the sea. An old wise man comes along and says, "Hey, little girl, it's by far too many. You cannot make a difference." And the girl looks at the man, takes another starfish, brings it to the sea and says, "For this one, I made a difference." And this is fantastic, I think, because it shows you may be a small kid, you may be alone, the problems may be very big. But if you start to do something, you can be a part of the solution. And that is what really we have to spread as a message. We all know, we all are already part of the solution, and we can continue to do so. Like Pipolak, I think is her name, said, we can start with the kids, we can continue with the youth, we need everybody, but all of us, and by influencing the society, we should create a big movement, and we really should create a world of ocean friends. We have to try to reach by information, the head of the people and then the heart. Because if we love something, we protect it. And I think if we continue to tell people about the beauty of the ocean, and if you make people love the ocean, all together, that will be another world. So let's continue fighting for the love of people for the ocean, and fighting as well, of course, for the ocean rights.
Thank you very much, Kinsine. Thank you. That was wonderful. And we certainly will protect what we love. And thank you again for mentioning ocean rights and your support for it. Thank you. So as we get to the end of our program, I'd like to say and welcome our final speaker of the day, our Ocean Race Summit's director, Johan Strid, who's also an esteemed friend and colleague, to summarize what we've heard. Please, a round of applause for Johan.
We need to recognize the inherent rights of the ocean. In other words, there cannot be a healthy planet without a healthy ocean. This is, in my conclusion, what we have discussed here today in Aarhus. We need to recognize the inherent rights of the ocean. We have heard about fantastic local, national, and international actions for the ocean. The amazing biohuts here in Aarhus Harbor, the fantastic kelp growing at the wind farm, the fascinating data collection of the vessels of opportunity. We have learned from some of the most distinguished experts in these fields. We have met a lot of people with a bold vision here today. We have met scientists like Annette and Romain, entrepreneurs like Pepperlook and Jacqueline, business leaders like Camilla and Øyvind, politicians like Jakob and Gesine, and of course, not the least, sailors like Alexandra and Boris. All these people, all these great people share something very special. A unique commitment to create a positive change. Some have great power. Some have great ideas. Some have an endless source of energy. And many of the speakers here today have all of this. The message we have received from young people here at the summit is promising. We need the energy, dedication, and the vast expertise of the young generation. I belong to a generation that has failed them. So I am now looking at all of you, all of us in this room. It is our responsibility to fix this. Some of us, like myself, have children. We must look at our children, we must look our children in their eyes and say, I'm doing everything I can for the ocean, for the planet. Everything, every day. I will not leave this mess for you to sort it out when I'm gone. It is mine, ladies and gentlemen. No, it's our responsibility, to quote Willow, to get some things done. The Ocean Race works towards a universal declaration of ocean rights by 2030. Imagine all this power and energy channeled here today towards this mission, where the ocean has a voice, where the ocean is not simply a resource to be exploited, but a living being, where decisions now taking about the ocean is taking with the ocean. A new ethical framework for the relationship between humankind and the ocean. The solutions brought forward here today in Aarhus are all very important steps towards this goal. And if the ocean would have had its own voice here today, I'm sure she would approve. All life depends on the maintenance of and is linked with the health, integrity, and functioning of the ocean, including the physical systems, ecosystems, species, and constituting elements. This is a quote taken from a draft document in which the Ocean Race and our global partners, including the Earth Law Center, is outlining principles underpinning ocean rights. Tomorrow, a global group of experts will meet in what we call the Geneva process to finalize principles for ocean rights. And that is what we will present to the United Nations in September this year. What we learned here today will be a cornerstone for this work. Thank you, Aarhus. You are leading the way. And we need to recognize the inherent rights of the ocean. Thank you for a fantastic contribution, all speakers.
Thank you, Johan. Excellent. All right, well, we have reached the finish line, everybody. Thank you all for being here with us today. And it's been an honor being your host at the Ocean Race Summit Aarhus. Thanks to all of our fantastic speakers who shared their valuable wisdom with us. Also to our impromptu speakers who were brave enough to go on the mic when I asked, like Rose, thank you very much. We've learned so much, and I hope that you'll be able to take this information, spark new conversations with those of us in our community and beyond. And also, it's clear that after today, Aarhus is truly a city with the ocean at its core, and we look forward to all the future leadership that this city will offer the world. And most of all, we've come to see how important it is to recognize the rights of the ocean. And taking action today can propel us into the future where protecting and restoring our ocean that we all love so much will happen. So before you leave today, I'd like to invite each of you to scan this QR code, this massive QR code. This is our feedback form, and we'd love to hear from you. Anything that you have to respond about your experience today, we'd really appreciate it. And all of you who do will receive a complimentary ocean bottle to take home with you. Big thank you to 11th Hour Racing, who is the race's premier partner, as well as the founding partner of the Racing with Purpose Sustainability Program that made today's summit possible. We also have to thank our host city partners here in Aarhus, who worked together for years, literally years, to make this summit happen and this race stopover happen as well. The entire Summits team, thank you for your effort and dedication. As always, thank you to the Ocean Race Chairman, Richard Brisius, for being here. Thanks to our tech and AV team on the left, behind the scenes, making my job easy. Thank you to the Aarhus International Sailing Center. I love this space so much. And especially thank you to our partners who make the ocean race possible, like Volvo Cars. Immense gratitude for all of our speakers once again, and our sailors who were here with us. And finally, thank you to you, our ocean friends. With that, I'd like to invite all of you out to the promenade to enjoy a glass of wine with us before we leave. But thank you again for being here. And I'm going to practice my Danish one more time. Magnetak, farvel. Thank you, everybody.